The year is 2019. 20 countries around the world have declared a climate emergency. Studies show the Earth's natural resources are depleting at an alarming rate. Our atmosphere is becoming more and more polluted with greenhouse gases and fossil fuels. Our oceans are losing their coral reefs and becoming filled with plastic. And our forests are being cut down for the installment of meat farms. Climate change and its effect on the 7.7 billion people that live on our planet has continuously been scientifically proven. Yet political officials refuse to acknowledge the large and ever-growing issue at hand. It is estimated that Earth will be depleted of its natural resources by the year 2050 if action is not taken now. It is up to each and every single one of us to do our part to raise awareness and to do what we can to decrease our contributions to climate change. You've all heard of the 3 R's: recycle, reuse, and reduce. These are simple applications to make to daily life. The first R, recycle, can be done anywhere, as most locations offer recycling bins. Properly disposing of plastics and other recyclables is a huge step in the right direction. The next R, reuse, can be done by anyone. Using reusable water bottles such as this one that can be refilled over and over eliminates the need for excess use of plastic water bottles and other containers. Purchasing reusable grocery bags is also huge. Not only are they more durable, but they eliminate the need for plastic bags, which often end up in oceans and landfills. Finally, if you wish to take it a step further, reusable bamboo straws and utensils are available for purchase. These will replace the need for plastic spoons, forks, and straws, which also end up in our oceans. The third R, reduce, can be applied to many aspects of life. One great example of reducing is cutting back on commuting and instead carpooling or utilizing public transit in order to reduce our fossil fuel contributions. Another great example of reducing that is often overlooked and that I would like to focus on today is cutting back on meat consumption and food waste. Did you know animal agriculture is responsible for 32% of greenhouse gases? This number solely reflects cattle emissions and waste. Not included is the contributions from the forest clearing and upkeep of these meat farms. But let's take a closer look. In order to fully understand how our consumption of meat contributes to climate change, we must look at how the meat we are consuming is being produced. To put it simply, the production of meat for consumption is ineffective. Meat farms require ample space and water supply. In order to achieve this ample space, forests are cleared. Now there's 2 problems with this. Getting rid of trees lowers our oxygen content. And in addition, we're using heavy machinery to clear the forest. This heavy machinery runs off of fossil fuels, which further emits carbon into our atmosphere. And don't think that just because the space has been cleared and the farms have been created that these machines go away, because they don't. They're kept around in order to upkeep the farm. Let's consider beef. Once these farms are up and running, farmers are essentially growing crops such as grass for the cows to consume in order for them to grow to a size sufficient for human consumption. On average, it takes 3 pounds of grain to raise 1 pound of meat. This process lacks efficiency and is a waste of energy and time. Not only does this process lack efficiency, but this process is also one of the biggest contributors to greenhouse gases. The reason for this is that the cattle's digestive systems are set up in a way that when they consume these crops, in order to grow large enough for human consumption, they actively emit methane gases through burping and flatulence. These methane gases contribute 14% of greenhouse gases. A more practical approach to this would be to simply grow crops for human consumption. There are many plant-based proteins that could replace the proteins that we receive from red meats. Once these cattle have grown large enough for human consumption and have been slaughtered, they must be packaged and distributed. Packaging typically consists of plastics, which are not sustainable materials. Distribution is a worldwide process. The average meal travels 1,200 kilometers from farm to plate. This distribution requires energy and vehicles, which run off of fossil fuels and further emit carbon into our atmosphere. So, what can you do to decrease your food related contributions to climate change? The answer is simple. If the average American were to cut back on their meat consumption by 1/3, their food related emissions would drop by 13%. Converting to a vegan or vegetarian lifestyle would further decrease these numbers. While I know this is not ideal for most, simple substitutions can be made in place of red meat and still decrease these numbers even further. Substituting red meat with poultry or fish, or legumes, lentils, tofu, or beans would still provide adequate protein nutrition for the consumer while reducing our impact on climate change. Another simple solution is to buy local. Buying from local farmers not only supports those farmers and also guarantees better quality meat, but it also cuts out the emissions that are produced from the distribution of worldwide meat. Finally, ensuring that food is not wasted is a great way to decrease our impact on climate change. Nearly half the food that is produced worldwide goes to waste. That means that all the energy and resources that were put into creating that food go to waste also. With the new year approaching and the time for New Year's resolutions coming up, I challenge each of you to take a step towards making one small diet change in order to reduce our food-related emissions and decrease our impact on climate change. The future of our planet is in our hands. We only have one Earth. Let's treat it right so that we and our future inhabitants can live a plentiful and sustainable life.